2 weeks ago, I flew to Tokyo, and a week before then, I moved to the Gold Coast. So it's been a very exciting, expansive, completely brand new past few weeks, and I'm so excited to be sitting down, giving you guys a life update because I really just want to catch you guys up to date. What on earth has been going on? What's been happening? I really want to give you all of the inside information about my move, about my travel to Japan, and about where I'm at in life, because my life has I've stepped into a new quantum leap. I quantum leap quite often. If you've been a listener of the podcast for a while, you would know that I'm a master manifester, and I quite often quantum leap into pretty amazing timelines. I create incredible opportunities for myself, and I share all this so I can share with you how you can also do the same. So I'm so excited to be sitting down in my office, in my brand new apartment in the Gold Coast. If you're watching us on YouTube, bear with me as I'm still trying to figure out the best kind of setting, the best situation. I'm holding my mic. This feels a little bit awkward, but I have my cute, very bougie, comfortable, occasional chair. And I'm just so excited to be back into a really fun, effortless, creative flow state. And let's dive in. Basically got accepted for the apartment I'm now living in in the Gold Coast 1 week before I had my flights to Tokyo booked. So my Japan trip was something that had been in the works since January of this year. And I just had a feeling that timing would just be so funky with moving and whatnot. And I wasn't even surprised. I low-key loved the timing of it because it was just such an exciting, expansive time. I mean, it still very much is. I feel like I haven't really properly lived or found my routine, even though I've been here for I think over 5 weeks or 6 weeks now. But half of that has been spent in Japan. The other half of that has been spent in Adelaide. And now I'm really only just finding my routine now, which is why I have taken a couple weeks off the podcast. So I appreciate your patience with me. However, I was just so excited to really sit down and give you guys the insider scoop. So I'm feeling super inspired, feeling back into my feminine flow state. And here we are. So I put a post up on LinkedIn whilst I was in Japan, and I was basically sharing how Japan felt like more than just a holiday for me. It essentially was a portal. It was not only a celebration, to an ending, it was also the celebration for the start of a whole new beginning. It really was the beautiful wrap-up I needed for this whole past 9-10 months I've had. So ever since I left my engagement, went through a really intense, rocky, hard, challenging time in my life, which was, guys, it was almost a year ago that my engagement ended. I was saying this to my housemate yesterday. It was July where everything unraveled, and it's June as I'm recording this. So much can change in 1 year. There is not a single thing in my life today that is the same as my life last year. And that makes me the happiest person in the world. Because yeah, of course, there are still some similarities in terms of, myself and how I look and whatnot, but so much of my outside world, but also so much of my inside world, my mindset, how I view things, my friends, who I tell what I tell what to now. We've lost a bit of sun there. So I just want that to be your reminder that do not doubt how much you can change so much of your life in less than 12 months. Because 12 months ago, it's like everything looked perfect on paper. On paper, it looks like I had my shit together, which is so hilarious. I had a 9-to-5 job. I had a mortgage for a $1.7 million home. I'm not saying this to flex. I'm saying this to show something here. I was engaged. I was planning a wedding. I was in a relationship. However, I was thinking of this just the other day, actually. I honestly felt like I had no real friends around me. I was in a job that was okay, but it wasn't lighting me up. My relationship was honestly about to unravel. I really did not enjoy wedding planning because, I'm the most organized person. I love hosting. I love events. So I was very surprised I wasn't enjoying that process. It's because it was the wrong relationship for me. I was choosing to isolate myself from everybody, my family, my friends. I felt like I was all alone, even though I was surrounded by so much success and wealth and money and experiences, and on paper it looked perfect. I remember even some of my colleagues were saying that to me, like, Isabel, you're perfect, your life is perfect. And I remember breaking down to one of my coworkers one day, telling her that everything was actually unraveling and nothing was perfect, and I was going to end the relationship because I had found out the most horrific news, and my soul could not stay in something like that. Anyway, that's not what this episode is about. We're talking about all the beautiful, positive things in my life right now, which is the fact I've finally moved to the Gold Coast. I'm living with two beautiful housemates. One of them is my best friend, Riley. Riley and I met when we were traveling in Spain together about 3 or 4 years ago. And we live together. We have another beautiful housemate. We have the most incredible space, guys. We, of course, we manifested this to a T. I read out a manifestation list the other night to my housemates, and I'm like, tick, 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 we have all of those things. We have literally natural light everywhere. Like, the house is flooded with natural light, floor to ceiling windows. I have not only my bedroom, but also a separate office for me to create, to film, to take my coaching calls, my client calls, to create content, anything I want in this space. We have a parking space. We are literally a 10-minute walk to the beach. We have views from every single window, and that's something we wanted as well. I wake up in the morning, the sun rises so early up in Queensland, like 4:35 a.m. I wake up, the sun is beaming through. I wake up naturally. I love it. I look out my window. I have the most bougiest view ever. I have a view of all these like super yachts, right? So I wake up, I get to see just like so much abundance. The views from all of our windows are either of the beach, the river, boats, hills, palm trees. Like, I'm looking outside the window in my office now, and it's beautiful hills, landscape, palm trees, buildings. It's perfect. And I manifested all of this in about 6 to 8 weeks. Like, it really was not long at all. And yeah, it's like, just ask for what you want. It's that damn simple. I feel oftentimes we really overcomplicate things, and just, I'm here to pull you up on that. What is something you really want, but you are downplaying? Let that sink in for a moment. As I was saying before, I really felt like Japan was the celebration of my last chapter, the celebration of that last chapter ending, essentially, and also like the welcome party of my whole new life. So I really love to romanticize everything in my life that I feel is who I am at my core. That's what I always love to do. And that is something I highly recommend you do as well, because the more we can romanticize the beautiful, simple moments of life, that is where true joy and that is where true fulfillment and happiness is found. And I was reminded of this constantly, even while I was in Japan. One of my biggest lessons from Japan, from the culture, from the experience, from being there for a couple of weeks, is that patience is a virtue. And there is a lineup to line up. There are lineups for everything. You have to wait for everything. And there was this point, my sister and I went to this viral matcha place, and we were lining up for, I reckon, almost 1 hour just for them to take our order. We then had to wait another, I reckon, almost hour for them to make our matcha. We then proceeded back to our hotel. We were catching a bus. We were lining up in the bus stop for over 45 minutes. 3 buses came. They were all so full of people, we could not get on. We then were like, nah, this is not worth our time. We ended up walking. Well, I ended up walking. My sister called an Uber. That just shows how different the two of us are. And we were saying this in the line for the bus as well. We were saying how back home, back in Australia, in Adelaide, in the Gold Coast, I'm sure a lot of Australian places, we get things instantly. We want to go to a restaurant, we make a reservation, we rock up, we get there. We want to go to a cafe, we wait maybe 5 minutes, we make our order, we get our coffee, it's done. There is nothing we really have to wait for. Everything is so accessible for us. And whilst we were lining up for that bus stop, this is something my sister actually brought up, saying that, yeah, Japan has been really testing on our patience. And we went to Disneyland and Universal Studios. We are such a theme park family. By the way, I went to Japan with my family, and we bought what's called a fast pass. And this is because the rides at these theme parks, I kid you not, nothing is under 60 minutes. And we all said our time is worth way more than waiting in line that whole time. Otherwise, you're at these theme parks and you're spending quite literally your whole time lining up for a ride that's like 10 seconds, and you're lining up for 60 to 90 minutes. So we bought a fast pass, which was a lot more money. However, so worth it because your time is invaluable. So we all bought fast passes, which means that we could whiz through all of the lines, make our way through to the very front. And it's just like the way to do theme parks. Like, spend the money. It's so worth it. And we just had the best time because we could just go through our fast passes, and like there's something so bougie about you see this line, and the lines, like I said, they're 90 minutes, some of them. And people are just lining up in these zigzags in the sun, just sitting there waiting. It takes so long to move. And we're in these fast pass line. It's like a separate line, and you just whiz your way all to the front. And we're just like, oh yeah, this feels so good. So side note there, there's a line for everything. There's even a line to get to ride up the escalator from the subway. There's a line to get into the lifts. There is a line for everything. It's such an ordered place. However, did you know the population of the population of Tokyo is over 30 million? And in Australia, I think we only have just over 25 million. That's the whole country. So it makes sense. Like the country, like Tokyo needs so much order. It is such a bustling city. I've been to New York a couple of times. So I've been exposed to the big hustle, the bustle, the cities, the billboards, all that kind of stuff. There is nothing that could have prepared me for Tokyo. When we landed and we arrived in the evening, we went to our hotel, checked in, got onto the streets. We're right in the center of Tokyo, and we all were just standing in the street looking around like, oh my gosh, overstimulation, overdrive. But also that stuff doesn't bother me at all. And we were just in awe. I fell in love with Tokyo. It is electric. It is so expansive, and I already cannot wait to go back. It was just such an incredible place. I've never just felt so much energy, but just so much fun energy. And like, think of anything and it's there. There's cat cafes, dog cafes. There's like hidden, ramen places. There's the most quirky, interesting stores and shops and experiences. Like, think of any experience and it's there. It's phenomenal. It's such a fun place. If I'm not selling this to you, honestly, Tokyo Tourism, hire me. So this trip really felt like such a pivotal, beautiful point in my life, and I'm obsessed with the timing of it all. I love the fact I flew from Adelaide to the Gold Coast, set up my life in 7 days, and then left Australia to go all the way to Japan for 2 weeks and have the most fun experience, the most fun time with my family. And now I'm back in the Gold Coast, feeling like I can finally set up life, start my routines, get back into my flow of things. My rooms are set up, my clothes are here, my car is here, my office is in motion, client calls are happening, social media client calls are happening. It's all happening. So my friends and family thought I was low-key crazy for moving a week before I knew I was due to fly out of the country. But for me, it felt so aligned. And for me, it felt so on brand for me as well, because life isn't meant to be perfectly timed. There was no part of me that was going to wait another 3+ weeks in Adelaide, knowing that this beautiful life for me in the Gold Coast is just waiting for me. And that's the point. Life is meant to be lived. There's no perfect time. So we're here to have fun. Like I always say this, and this has been such a big journey for me as well. Like, when I had stopped my business and podcast, dark times. Guys, a year ago, it was 12 months ago when I stopped everything. So we're here to have fun. We're here to take these big, bold leaps. We're here to make big decisions before we're even quote unquote ready, because that is when true joy and fulfillment and expansion really comes. So I essentially packed up my whole life, packed my car to the absolute brim, got a bunch of suitcases and booked a one-way flight to the Gold Coast, which was the most fun thing I think I've ever done, booking that one-way ticket. And I want to land on this. When you can lean into the unknown, I wish I did that way sooner. I spent so long of my life being calculated, being too afraid to take risks, waiting for safety, longing for safety, security, stability, looking for it in my outside world. And this is something I really was like battling, I want to say, for such a long time, ever since I've pretty much been self-employed, started my freelancing, gone more into my podcast and my coaching, end of 2021, early of 2022. And there have been so many periods where I have really battled with finding that sense of stability and security. And for so long, I was looking for it in my outside world. I was trying, like desperately seeking for it. However, you need to find that internally. And there's just like one moment in my life, there's like core memories, those core realizations that are just always imprinted in your mind. So there was this moment where I was just really starting out on my own self-employed life, and I was feeling so shaky, and I was just longing for stability. And I was doing this yoga class, and it's like, when people just say the right things at the right time and it just lands, it just hits home. And the yoga instructor was speaking all about finding your own sense of stability internally. And that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I want this to be a message for people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, or aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners. Oftentimes, the fear, the worry of not having a quote unquote stable income, security, stability, XYZ, is often what stops us from starting, okay? That was me for a very long time as well. However, what if you could trust yourself fully to hold yourself, to be able to create that security, that stability, that safety net for yourself? Because you're never going to let yourself down. But other people may, other people might. Yes, you can get the most perfect, stable job of your life, but you can also get fired or let go or made redundant at any time. Yeah, there's contracts in place. There's, 2, 3, 4 weeks notices. There's HR. Yeah, but those are just extra hoops that eventually it can still happen to you. So imagine if you could trust yourself to create all of that security, safety, and stability for yourself. And really allowing myself to lock into that and find peace in that and certainty in that is what allowed me to go all in on myself to make this move. For those of you who have either been tuning into the podcast for a while, or maybe you know me personally, talking about moving interstate has been something that has been coming out of my mouth for, I kid you not, 5 years. Like, it is no surprise I made this move. And it's funny because I kept it a bit secretive, a bit on the hush-hush side for quite some time, because I knew I had just told people time and time again that I was moving, and it just never happened. And I'm like, I'm sick of people just like, oh yeah, Isabel, we've heard this before, yada, yada. So I just kept it so to myself. I told literally nobody apart from my housemates I was moving with, obviously. And I had started to kind of drop it very subtly to my family, to my parents, just letting them know, like, by the way, guys, this is just temporary, me being here. And everyone just kind of laughed it off, being like, yep, Isabel, whatever, you'll be here forever. And then we applied for a house and we got it. And I'm like, guys, I'm moving. And everybody was so shocked. I told a lot of my friends, people in my gym community, my family, and they're like, she's actually doing it. She's actually making the move. Damn straight. And oh my gosh, that feeling, knowing that I had made this decision for myself, is everything. And for those of you who are really stuck on making some kind of decision in your life, I want you to ask yourself, how can you make a real personal move? And that's exactly what I did. When I was planning about moving, 5 years ago, throughout that whole time period, it came up, it went down, it came up, it came down. There was always different things. I was engaged, planning a wedding. I'm like, well, now this is never happening. When that all unfolded, and I was like, okay, I'm now in a position, I'm single, I've left my 9 to 5, I have nothing holding me back to Adelaide. Yes, there's my family, my friends, but there is nothing holding me back. That's how I knew now's the time. If I didn't do this now, I'll never do it. I mean, maybe I would, but point being, I had to make the move personal for me in terms of I had to make this a promise to myself, and it was actually one of my goals. So at the start of 2025, like I'm sure a lot of us, I set beautiful goals. And I specifically narrowed down and set 2 goals to achieve by the middle of the year. And one of them was to move out of Adelaide. And I did it. I did it in May, right on time, right on cue. And that's how, when I was telling everybody was so shocked and surprised. But to me, I'm like, but this is in my plan. Like, this is what was next for me. It made so much sense. And that's why me moving right before I went overseas to Japan just did not faze me in the slightest. In fact, I'm like, this is so much fun. Like, this just adds to the story. This just makes it so much more compelling. This just makes my life so much more dynamic and interesting, which is what I always want to be doing and living by. Like, I made this quite a few years ago, but I also encourage you to do this. Think of 3 words that you want your life to be like. And for the longest time, my words have been fun, unique, and fulfilling. And everything about this whole situation is fun, unique, and fulfilling. Packing up my whole life, my car, moving across the country, whilst also simultaneously packing a suitcase for Japan. Fun, unique, and fulfilling, right? So it's all about intention, okay? And when we don't know where we're going, when we don't have a vision, that's where we get stuck in the mundane. That's where we get stuck just coasting, going from here to here. Like, we're just kind of walking, we bob our head here, we're walking over here, we bob our head here, and there's no real clear direction. And that's when you can feel like your life is perhaps really stagnant, or perhaps things really aren't actually working out for you because you are not owning what it is that you want. And do you remember the list that I shared before I created for our apartment in the Gold Coast? It ticked off everything. And guys, I'm going to get a bit spiritual here. The energy in this house is phenomenal. So there's me and my 2 other housemates. And my 2 other housemates, we're all quite similar. And we are manifesting free furniture left, right, and center. And as I mentioned before, be super clear with what you want in life. And so, we started off with not too much furniture. And we haven't had a dining table since we've moved here, basically. We're just kind of like eating, standing up. We have a couple of bar stools. And just 2 nights ago, I'm like, guys, we need a dining table. Enough is enough. Let's get this into action. And we put it out there. And then long and behold, one of my housemates' aunties was like, hey, I have this like incredibly bougie dining table. It's worth like thousands of dollars. Do you want it for free? And I literally had declared it about 30 minutes prior. And this is the point. Declare what you want and verbalize it and say it out loud. Like I shared, like I've always been such a powerful manifester. I'll own that. I know that. People know me for that. I manifest everything, and you can too. And it starts as simple as declaring it. It starts as simple as asking yourself, what is it that you actually want? Because so often we don't really know, or we're fearful to own it. We're fearful to claim it. Oftentimes we don't actually want to say, I want this, extravagant ABC. We downplay it. Out of fear, out of worrying that what if I don't actually get it and I'm saying it out loud and then I'm letting myself down? What's more important? Actually getting what you want or allowing fear to rule you? Remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. It doesn't have to be that way. And I really feel like I have, another one of my goals is to untap and unlock more of my intuition and spiritual side. And I've realized I just say things out loud that I want and they often come to fruition. And don't get me wrong, there's a big piece of alignment and integrity and using your words correctly, but that's what I've been doing and I'm just having fun with it and I'm declaring things. And okay, live example. So whilst I was in Japan, I got very sick. I got a very bad cough, a very bad cold. My mum had it. She gave it to all of us, my siblings, my dad. We're all just on the plane dying, basically. That's not the point. The point is I've had this horrible cough since I've returned. And last night, the cough where it's literally bruising your ribs. It's painful. It's been a very painful experience. And last night I was just having a coughing fit and I'm like, all right, that's it. That's it. I declare that I wake up tomorrow morning and this cough is gone. I woke up today and it was gone. Point is, it's declaring, it's saying what it is that you want, okay? I share this example. You may laugh, you may roll your eyes. I don't really care. The point is, I share these examples to show you how simple it truly can be. Say what it is that you want. Own what it is that you want in everything, in relationships, in friendships, in your house, in your job. You know the drill. So, manifesting love is something that I've also done so often. Like, yeah, my past relationship didn't work out, but I also manifested that to a T. There were so many parts of that I had actually written down in my journal, and it came to fruition. And I even I even think there was a point where I read it out to my ex-fiance at the time, and I'm like, tick, 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 it's all these things. It's hilarious. It's hilarious because it's so simple, but so many people are not doing this. And just get really clear with yourself what it is that you want. The universe loves when you're specific. The universe loves clarity. And oftentimes we can really get stuck on, deadlines and timeframes. And often people ask me okay, I want to manifest X, Y, Z. And maybe it's, I want more money. Okay, no, that's not good enough. Get clear. How much more money do you want? How much money do you want to be making in your business per month? Okay, I want to be making $20,000 per month in my business. Okay, great. Is that revenue? Is that cash collected, or is that sales? Okay, you want to be making $20,000 a month in your business. First of all, is your business set up to make that fund? Is your business set up to collect those funds? Do you have the services in place? There's a fine line with not getting too stuck or too caught up in the how, because that is the universe's job to come in and show the magic, right? But there's also a part of you that, I often say, we take one step forward, the universe takes 10 steps. And so when you can start to position yourself, start to align yourself, the rest will just unfold so naturally. And I've been single for almost a year now, which is exciting. And I'm at a point now where I am so excited to call in my person. And I know I am, I know it's happening. It's an intuitive feeling, right? And there were so many months previously where I was intentionally closing myself off. I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast before, but granted, I love that I had that season. It's such a dangerously powerful season to be in because I just had no interest in dating, in talking to men, none. Partly because I knew I was leaving Adelaide. Also partly because I know that my person is no way in Adelaide. That's just an absolute deep knowing. So I would get DMs from guys and I would block them. I think I went on maybe 1 or 2 dates. I'm like, this is just not it. So I was in such a season of my life where I was actively blocking it, and I was aware of that. And I was telling my friends this, and one of my friends is like, Isabel, you're literally blocking people. You are blocking love there's no tomorrow. I'm like, I know, but it's just not it right now. However, now that I've moved and I'm just feeling so much more in my space, who I am, I'm just so much more aligned in what I'm doing as well, because I've said yes to myself, because I made that promise to myself to move, and I've fulfilled that. I'm building self-trust, and this is how you build self-trust as well. It's by you actually doing the things you say you're going to do. It's so simple. It's so, so simple. And if for some reason you don't, because a pivot, we love a pivot, right? Have grace with yourself and just get clear on why you pivoted instead. What was the reason? Did something bigger and better come along? If so, perfect. Or maybe you didn't pivot. Maybe you didn't take that leap, that jump out of fear. That was me for 5 years, right? It happens to all of us. We're human beings. We're complex. And so where I'm going with this whole tangent, this whole train of thought, is when you can really start to call in, align, and get super clear on what it is that you want, the rest unfolds in the most beautiful way. And the way you can really start to see the magic happen, you can start to see your manifestations come into your life so quickly, is by you truly being in alignment. And there is no surprise. It is no secret that we manifested this apartment in 6 to 8 weeks. That's record timing. When I had bought my previous home, that was something in the works for 4 or 5 months. That took a long time to manifest because I was not in the right energy. But because I know I'm such a powerful manifestor, of course, it was going to come in at some point. But it did take a heck of a long time, which I was very surprised about because typically things come in quite quickly for me. And so, I still manifested exactly what we wanted. It was a mansion. It was in the most bougiest suburb of Adelaide. It pretty much had everything we wanted. And It's just funny because like it's totally just not what I want now. But I still called it in. And just have fun with it. Just have fun with what you manifest. You know, I feel like I've just been having really beautiful, like profound realizations on why we are here, what we're here to do, to achieve, whether you know your purpose or you're not, whether you know your purpose or not, whether you think you're spiritual or not. This is just my views, and you know, maybe you can take something from this, maybe you can resonate completely. I truly believe that we are souls having a human experience, and before we come down onto this earth, we sign soul contracts. You know, think of those people that you instantly click with, soulmates, friendships, family members, co-workers, colleagues, whatever that is. I believe that we have soul families. Soulmates can be friends, and we sign soul contracts before we come down, which is essentially where we agree to go through certain challenges and life lessons so we can gain. Everything we go through is not about obtaining all the things that we want and, you know, ending up with the perfect house, the perfect relationship, the perfect everything. It's who we become to get there. It's who we become on that journey to receive and to achieve all that we want. And, you know, I'm going to bring it back to Japan. It was a journey to go everywhere. It took a long time, walking subways, 3 trains, long taxi rides, lines, all the things. And you could not complain, right? Because none of that. You don't want to be a Debbie Downer. And whenever any of us would, we were always like, it's all about the journey. Cliche as hell, I know, but hear me out. It's all about the process of becoming and who you grow and how you evolve into where you want to be. And oftentimes, like, let's not talk about manifesting certain skills or abilities or relationships or jobs or anything like that. Who do you have to be in order to have that? Because it quite often is something or somebody that you have not been or do not have yet within you. So when I was doing my Les Mills instructing training course, that was so many words to say just then, I had obviously never taught group fitness before. I'd done coaching before, I've been on stages before for drama and whatnot, but never in a group fitness capacities. It was such a new thing for me. And I'm like, okay, this is so new. Like, who is that version of me? Who is that version of me that is the best? Who is that version of me that is the best possible group fitness instructor I could be? And for me, that involved, okay, really increasing my fitness, really increasing my mental strength, my physical strength. And so I made that my intention. I was training like crazy. I was the fittest I've ever been, because you not only have to be able to hold the positions, you have to be able to talk, you have to be able to instruct and motivate and coach whilst you're also doing the moves yourself. So there was that part that I was not the fittest I could be yet, and I knew that was the journey I had to take. And so do you see what I'm saying here? Let's just look past the cliche aspect of it's all about the journey, but it actually is all about who you're becoming, where you are now versus where you want to be. And so let's, map this across now to moving to the Gold Coast. I was like, okay, who is that version of me that is already living in the Gold Coast? What is she doing? How is she showing up? What is she thinking? What is her routine? Insert everything else. And do you see where I'm going at here? And so when it comes to, manifesting love and friendships and jobs and, more travel and more money, who is that version of you that has those things that you do not have yet? And kind of like humble yourself for a moment, because you want something, which means that you do not have it yet. So there is a part of you that still needs to be evolved, that still needs to grow, that still has things to learn. So you can then start to achieve and also retrieve the things that you actually want. So I always ask myself this question every time I'm sitting down and, wanting to manifest and wanting to create new goals for myself. I'm like, great, it's all well and good to be like, I want $1 million. I want the perfect boyfriend. Like, scrap that off. Get really granular. Get really clear. Specificity is power. And now start to ask yourself, amazing, who is that version of me that has all these things? And where is the gap as to where I am now? And allow yourself time for it to come through. it may take days, weeks, months, you never know, but just allow yourself that space. And when I was in Japan, I often love to think like traveling is like all I love to do. I have my Italian citizenship now. I have my dual passport. And I love adventuring. I love exploring. I love traveling. I think it's the most expansive thing. Travel to me really means wealth, and just I love cultures and I love experiencing new cultures. I really find like I just gravitate and I just really like love to communicate and resonate with people not from Australia so much. Like I've dated a few guys that have been one from Venezuela, one from Spain, like full Venezuelan, full Spanish, like English is their second language, such different culture. At my old job, a lot of my colleagues were all from China and Vietnam, and just like Australia isn't their home. But I just love to connect with these types of people because I feel you can just learn so much from different cultures. And that is just so much of me and who I am. And, where I'm going with this whole thing is like, whilst I was in Japan, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm in like a bit of a new portal right now, like a whole new world. Side note, traveling is the best way to speed up manifestation. It's the best way to speed up just calling in new things because you're physically shifting. Back to what I'm saying. So, I was laying in my hotel one room on my bed and I'm just journaling. Okay, I'm like, cool. It's halfway through the year. Let's, manifest. Like, what do I really want to call in now? Like I've achieved so many of my goals I already wanted to achieve. One of them being moving, the rest seeing huge success in my business, my podcast, being on the radio, more clients, more money, all the things. So I'm like, okay, let's ramp it up. Let's get really clear. And like, I want to be transparent. Like I was being a bit too blasé. I was just being a bit too like, I want more money and I want this. And I'm like, no, like this is where you have to get really granular. And I share this because it takes time. So think of it as like different stages. Like I spent one morning in my hotel drinking tea before I was going out for the day, just being like, yep, I was breaking it up in different areas like fitness, health, podcasts, PR, my coaching, marketing, like friendships, social life, travel. Break it up in different categories. And your brain will want to stop. Your brain wants to be lazy. But that is where you push through and allow yourself the time. So I just wrote down very broad general dot points and then I revisited it the next day. And now I'm at a point where I can see really clearly what it is that I want, right? So this is like, more the feminine, more the creativity, the free flowing. However, we really want the balance of both. So now I'm at a point, let's put it into play now. Let's put it into action. And so, if you haven't already downloaded my free vision planning ebook, what are you doing? This is exactly how you set and achieve every single goal that you want. And so now I'm putting it through that process and I'm making it my own version of a SMART goal. And it's all about working backwards. It's knowing your vision and where you want to go in life because, side note, that is the key to happiness. Oftentimes when we're feeling really depressed and anxious and insecure and confused and just unhappy, unfulfilled, it's because we don't actually have a clear vision. And a lot of us don't. Not you because you're tuning into this podcast, but a lot of people don't have that really clear vision. And so when you can start to get really clear on where and what it is that you want in your life and where to go, it's exciting. You can start to create different checkpoints for yourself as well. So it's all about working backwards. It's reverse engineering your goals. It's being like, great, I want to have moved out of Adelaide in 6 months. Okay, this is the time frame. This is the goalpost. Let's work backwards now. What should I be doing in month 1, in month 2, etc., etc. And that's exactly what you do. That is exactly how you achieve goals and manifest. And then we bring in, we have the logical side now. We have the free flowy, the feminine side. It's all about taking those steps. And like I mentioned just previously, you take 1 step, the universe takes 10 steps. You have to go first. You have to put your foot in front of the other. You have to start somewhere and then the rest just comes to you. That is how you magnetize. That is how you draw in new experiences and opportunities. I'm incredibly magnetic. I know that. I've claimed that. I own that. People say that to me as well. I can call in so many incredible opportunities, but that's not because I'm being passive and sitting at home and just waiting and being like a pick-me person, being like, well, why isn't anything happening to me yet? Like, blah, blah, blah. It's going out there. It's showing up first. It's putting yourself out there. It's not letting the opinions of other people get in your way. It's being okay with quote unquote failing. It's being okay with looking like a quote unquote, beginner or looking a bit cringe. Guys, if you are posting content and you do not feel cringe about it, you are not posting content enough. You are playing it way too safe. Okay, my first podcast episodes, I think I would cringe so much listening to them, but that is how I know that I've grown so far. Because your first episode will never be perfect. Your first post will never be perfect. Heck, your first 10 posts won't be perfect. But if you're not cringing at the old content you've shared, you are playing it way too safe. You are not showing your true authenticity enough. And that is how you become magnetic. By being authentic. That is how opportunities gravitate towards you. That's how you stay on people's minds. That is how you just draw in the most beautiful life for you, paired with having a vision, paired with having clarity. Otherwise, you're just going to attract things that don't really align. And I've been in this position so much because I am so fiercely magnetic and such a powerful manifester. I do need to be super intentional and super clear on what it is exactly that I want, because I can call in things that are nowhere near aligned, but because I just have this magnetic aura, it comes to me regardless. And, I actually got really clear with myself at the start of the year that, when opportunities do come towards my life, I essentially put them through a bit of a mental checklist, being like, okay, does this actually align with where I want to go? Does this actually align with my goals? Because more often than not, I'm such a yes person. And if a people, place, opportunities come to me, I'm always saying yes, because you just never know. And now I'm at a point where I can really use my discernment even more. And it's phenomenal. It's such a powerful place to be. I love that I went through that. It was a lesson for me. And now I'm at a point now where I now know when to say yes versus no. For example, when I was in Japan, one of my friends was going to be there and she wanted to go to this expo in Osaka. And I was in Kyoto, which was about a 1-hour train ride from Osaka. I wasn't actually planned to go there. And it was this expo and it looked amazing. I'm like, hell yes, why not? However, I'm like, does this actually align for me? Does this actually make sense? Yes, it's a great opportunity at an expo in Japan, vibes. Why not? However, it just didn't really make sense for me to go because it didn't completely align with, not only the fact I was on a family holiday, I could have left regardless, but more so, does that align with my business and what I want to be spending my money on and my time on? Okay? Because time is the most precious resource to exist. So I feel like I could just talk forever and forever, but I do want to start to wrap this podcast up so I'm not just bombarding and rambling. But I sat down with no clear set notes I wanted to share, aside from the intention to catch you up on life, let you know where I've been, talk more about my travel to Japan, my move to the Gold Coast. You best believe I'm going to be sharing so much more all on how my move and transition is going to, in the Gold Coast, creating my community again, finding new friends. I'm so grateful that I have such a solid community already up here. I already have about 5 close friends who live here, as well as my 2 housemates. So it's so nice that I feel so supportive around here already. And I feel like when I was living in Adelaide, I had great people around me and I still knew that there was so many more incredible people for me to meet. And I know that this is the place for me. I'm already seeing that come into fruition. I'm already seeing that in my reality. And I'm going to Byron Bay this weekend for a feminine embodiment retreat with about 10 other girls from the Gold Coast as well. All new people. I know one of the girls. And it's just all these new experiences that I'm just so excited to step more and more into my power, more and more into what I know I'm supposed to be doing, owning the hell out of everything in my life. That is the best thing you could ever do, is just to own every mistake, every error, every, quote unquote setback or challenge you've gone through. Because if you own it, and if people talk about it, it just makes them look foolish because you're owning it. You're sharing these experiences. We can only ever learn from our past. The only part of life is moving forward. And I'm going to leave you on this analogy here. If you can actually see, my necklace is a little arrow. I think I actually got this in Cyprus. And my star sign as Sagittarius is the arrow. And oftentimes, this podcast is all about unfiltered truths. And my star sign and who I am at my core as well is all about being the arrow of truth. And another component of, the arrow as well, I often think of a bow and arrow. In order to go so much forward in life, you often need a bit of a moment to pull backwards, to lock in, to get your focus, to find your stability, to find your target. And then once you've got that, you fling it forward and you hit your bullseye. And that is how you can quantum leap. That is how you can land into all of your manifestations, all of the things that you truly want in life. It's allowing those moments of setback. It's allowing that time of solitude. And I spent so many months in that time period myself. Like I mentioned, I was like literally blocking it from my life. And it was all intentional. There was nothing, there was not a single fluke around that whole season. And I feel people around me perhaps thought it was, but I knew in my heart, this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing at that time. A moment of solitude, a moment of going in, a moment of getting super clear of the life that I'm now living for myself. And here I am. So I hope this inspired you. If it did, I love when you DM me. Let me know what lands. I've received a few voice messages from you about our past few episodes, letting me know just how much they resonated. So don't be a stranger. Shoot me a DM. I love to chat and connect with you. And as always, remember to start with the first step, not the entire staircase. It's all about starting somewhere.